Good day, friends. Welcome to the lecture series on fixed income securities in the subject of fundamental of investment. In this lecture series on fixed income securities, in my previous lectures, I talked about different types of securities, different types of bonds that are being issued, that are prevalent in India and outside India. I talked about the bond valuation. We also discussed about calculation of bond yields, especially in context of YTM, that is yield to maturity, and YTC, yield to call. And we also discussed in our previous discussions on fixed income securities regarding different types of risk that is involved in the bonds. When you purchase bonds, when you buy the bonds, what are the different types of risk that are involved? In today's lecture, I'll be talking about, to start with, interaction with the bond value, market interest rate and time to maturity. Friends, if you recollect, in my previous discussion also, I referred this point that there is an inverse relationship between bond prices and the rate of interest. Interest rate, or when we call it required rate of return, is used to calculate the present value of cash flows from the bond. When a bond is being issued, or when an investor invests in a bond, there is a stream of income that is being generated by the investor. That is in form of interest, the annual or the interest which the issuing company will be giving to the bondholders. So the bondholders will get an interest income on an annual basis or on a 6 monthly basis, or as the terms and conditions may be, right? And plus at the time of maturity, it will get a redemption value. So you calculate the present value of that redemption value and the stream of income. This present value is being calculated with the required rate of return of the investors. That is, when an investor wants to invest in a bond, he or she has certain expectation that this is the rate of return which minimally is required for the investor to invest in the bond. And that rate of return, or we call it required rate of return, is normally equivalent to the market rate of interest at that level of risk of investment. Means different bonds have different levels of risk, different degrees of risk. Depending on the degrees of risk, the required rate of return of the investor also changes. So anyway, if we generalize it, we say that the present value is being calculated by discounting the future inflows by the required rate of return, right? And this required rate of return is normally equivalent to the market rate of interest. So if the required rate of return is high, the bond value will be low, because when bonds are being issued, they are being issued at a coupon rate. Coupon rate means that the issuing company fixes the rate of interest that will be given on a particular bond. If supposing in the market rate of interest goes up, in that case the required rate of return of the investor also increases, and then the investor would like to buy this bond at a lower value as compared to the previous period in which the rate of interest were low. So the higher the required rate of return, lower is the value of the bond. That is, there is an inverse relationship between bond value and the market interest rate. As you can see in this figure, that as the rate of interest increases, and the x-axis we are showing rate of interest, and on the y-axis we are showing bond value. As the rate of interest goes in the rightward direction, the bond value decreases, right? And when the rate of interest is on a lower side or is on the leftward side, the bond value is high. So this shows the relationship of bond value and the interest rate. So there is an interaction. There is an interaction between coupon rate, required rate of return, and bond value. So if the required rate of return is the same that of the coupon rate, then the bond value will be equivalent to the face value. Supposing a company issues the 8% bonds, and the required rate of return of investment is also 8%. Then if a 100 rupee bond is there, so the bond price will be equivalent to the price at which the bond is being issued, that is will be equivalent to face value. Supposing the required rate of return increases from 8% to 9%, then on the same bond, the investor will not be ready to invest at a price which is equivalent to the face value. In that case, the investor would like to invest in the bond at a lower than the face value, we call it discounted bond. So if the required rate of return is higher than the coupon rate, then the value of the bond will be the lower than its face value. Reverse will be the case if the required rate of return is lower than the coupon rate, that the coupon rate is 8% and supposing the required rate of return in the investor is say 6%, then on the same bond, investor would like to give a price which is higher than its face value. Means it will ready to buy this bond at a premium price. So what you can notice here is that there is an inverse relationship between coupon rate and the required rate of return and the bond value. So now I am talking of one more relationship between bond value, price, that is bond value, the price of the bond, and time to maturity. Friends, as the bond's time to maturity comes nearby, that is when the bond is about to be redeemed. So in that scenario, when the time of redemption comes, the price of the bond becomes normally equivalent to, means very close to the redemption value of the bond. So bond price or bond value, you can say, with the time and at maturity, the market price of the bond is equivalent to redemption value. As the time of redemption comes closer and closer, the value of the bond, the price of the bond in the market also becomes closer to its redemption value. This is known as convergence of bond price to its redemption value. When market price is higher than the redemption value, the bond is trading at a premium. So a rational investor will not like to buy this bond at a heavy premium near maturity. Suppose a bond is being issued for 10 years. Now say for example, 9 years have already passed and almost 4-5 months are left for the maturity of the bond. So investor knows that in the 4 months period the bond is going to mature. So the bondholder would not like to give a very high price, right? Or even the low price. I mean low price bondholder, but nobody will sell at a lower price. Nobody would like to buy and sell, means transaction will not take place at a price which is substantially different than the face value of bond. If the face value of the bond is 1,000 rupees, it will be trading very near to the 1,000 rupees because the buyers knows it that only 3-4 months the bond is going to be mature. Supposing it is maturing at just after 3 months. So the bond buyer will not be ready to buy this bond at a very high price than the face value of the bond, or you can say redemption value of the bond. If it is a 1,000 rupees bond, somewhere near 1,000 rupees the buyer will be ready to pay. Because even if supposing the bond is being issued at a 6% rate and today the market rate of interest is say 4%, 5%. So despite of that, this additional 1% interest which the bond will give, the bond buyer, if at all he buys the bond or she buys the bond, the higher than the market rate of interest will be enjoyed only for 4 months, 5 months, right? So the investor would not like to pay a very high premium on this bond, right? Similarly, no seller would like to sell the bond at a very high discount price than the market price of the bond. So rational seller would not like to sell his bond at a heavy discount when the bond is nearing its maturity, right? So what it means is, what it implies is that if the time of maturity, as the time of maturity approaches, the bond prices normally goes closer to the maturity price of the bond. Thus, the bond may be priced at a premium or discount during the life of the bond, but as the maturity approaches, the bond prices approaches its redemption value and becomes exactly equivalent to redemption value at maturity. So friends, with the help of this figure, you can find out. So on the x-axis, I am showing the maturity period. On the y-axis, we are showing bond prices. This dotted line is the redemption value or the par value of the bond, right? Means the price at which the bond will be redeemed, right? So you can notice here, in the beginning of the period, the bond may be quoting at a higher price or a lower price than the face value of the bond. But as the time of the maturity approaches, I am presuming this is 10 years period. So on the right hand side, the dotted, the vertical line, I am presuming it is a 10-year period. So as the 10-year period approaches, the discount and the premium both vanishes. That is, the price of the bond becomes almost equivalent to at the maturity period, which is become exactly equal to the maturity value of the bond, right? So friends, this is the relationship between the bond prices and the maturity period. Now, after talking this, let me tell you briefly about the Melkel's properties regarding bond prices. Friend, these properties were discussed in our previous lectures at different point of time while talking about bond valuation, while talking about different types of relationship with the bond price and the interest rate. But Melkel very clearly given certain properties regarding the bond pricing. So let me summarize it. Let me just tell you what are these properties. There is an inverse relationship between bond prices and the yield. This is the point which I discussed in today's lecture also, that there is an inverse relationship between bond prices and the rate of interest, that is the yield. The other property is an increase in the yield causes a proportionately smaller price change than a decrease in the yield of the same magnitude. Means that if the yield increases 1%, right, so proportionately there will be a smaller change in the price of the bond as compared to if there is a decrease in yield of the 1%, right. So this is bond price yield curve is convex. We call it the bond price yield is curve is convex. This is known as bond convexity. So another feature of the bonds is that there is a bond convexity. The third important feature which is being given by the property which is given by Melkel is the price of long-term bonds are more sensitive to interest rate changes than the price of short-term bonds. Friends, when there is a long-term bonds, means suppose the 20 years bonds are being issued, there is a likelihood that in this 20 years period there will be greater changes in the rate of interest because the time period is long. So there are greater chances of the interest rate fluctuations, right. So these bonds are more sensitive for the interest rate change because supposing the bond is being issued for say 6%. Today the market rate of interest is say presumably 6%. A company issues bonds at 6% for 20 years. After 2 years, after 3 years, after 4 years, the rate of interest increases in the market from 6% to 8% or 9%. The bondholders who has purchased this bond at 6%, that bondholder will have to be satisfied if he continues with the bond of 6% interest on an investment of 100 rupees for a very fairly long period of time. So it means the price sensitivity of these type of bonds are more as compared to the short-term bonds. Suppose a 3-year bond is being issued, right, 6%. If suppose after 1 year, 2 years, the rate of interest increases from 6% to 8%, then only for a period of 1 year, the bondholder will have to get the lesser rate of interest, 6% as compared to the market rate of interest. So this bond, which is of a shorter duration, is less price sensitive as compared to the long period duration bonds. Means the price sensitivity is more in the long term bonds as compared to the short term bonds. The other property of Melkel is as maturity increases, the interest rate risk increases but at a decreasing rate, right. And lastly, prices of low coupon bonds are more sensitive to interest rate changes than the price of high coupon bond. That is the bonds on which they say 2%, 3% or 4% coupon rate, they are more sensitive to the interest rate changes than the price of high coupon bond. So these are the properties of Melkel. So these are important properties of the bond pricing and the rate of interest. Now, after talking this, let me briefly talk about the duration of the bond. Duration means, as a layman, if we call it what is duration, I'll say it is nothing but the effective maturity of a bond, right. So it shows the effective maturity of a bond. What is the effective maturity? Suppose a bond is being issued for 5 years. What we calculate in the duration is that the time in which, the length of the time that is being taken before the average amount of the present value of cash flows from the bond is received. That is, friends, as we have been discussing this earlier also, that bond gives two incomes. One is the interest income during the lifetime of the bond. The other is the maturity value. So what you do is you calculate the present value by discounting with the required rate of return of these stream of income in form of the interest and the stream of the money which you are going to get, or the money which you are going to get at the time of maturity. And this you discount with your required rate of return, or you can say with your YTM, yield to maturity. So this gives your present value. So duration means the effective time in which you will able to generate, you will able to get back your money. So it represents the length of the time that elapsed during the average amount of present value of cash flows from the bond is received. So the duration, say for example, if a bond is being issued for 10 years and the bond is zero coupon bond. So in the intermittent period of this 10 years, you are not going to get any interest. What you are going to get is, after 10 years, you are going to get the maturity value of the bond. In that case, the duration of the bond will be equivalent to the maturity period of the bond. That the bond is of 10 years, so the duration will also be equivalent to the 10 years, because in the intermediate period, you are not getting any interest income and you don't have to calculate the present value of the interest income. In case of a normal bond, means other than the zero coupon bond, the cash flows received in the form of interest in the intervening years makes the effective maturity period of a normal bond less than its actual maturity period. As I just said, in a zero coupon bond, the duration is equivalent to, the duration of the bond is equivalent to the maturity value. But in normal bonds, when I say the normal bonds, means the bonds on which, the interest is being paid by the company on an annual basis or every 6 months or every quarter, as the terms and conditions may be, right? So you get a cash flow, you get a interest cash flow income, right? So this interest income period you will continue to get up to the maturity period. So this interest income will reduce your effective maturity period, right? So the duration of bond will be less than the maturity period of the bond. So how do you calculate it? It is the weighted average maturity of its cash flows stream, which weights are proportion to the present value of cash flows. I'll be taking an example and I'll show you how you calculate the duration of the bond. So the formula to calculate duration of a bond is summation of the different time period in which you will get the stream of income of interest. So present value of cash flows, cash flow CFI means the stream of cash flow in the first year, second year, third year, up to the nth year. Nth year, if the bond is of 10 years, so N will be 10. So present value of cash flows into TI. TI means the time period, the first year, second year, third year. So all these cash flows will be multiplied by the weights, right? So the weights will be the time period. So present value of cash flows into TI divided by P0, B0. B0 is the present value of cash flows, right? So in the numerator, you are multiplying the present value of cash flows with the weights. The weights is the time period, right? And in the denominator, you are taking the present value of cash flow. B0 is equal to present value of the cash flows. So where N is the years of maturity, TI is equal to period, that is first year, second year, third year, fourth year, up to the nth year. If it is a 10-year bond, the T will be from 1 to 10. So P, present value of cash flows occurring at a time period 1 to N. YTM is used to calculate the present value of cash flow. YTM we have discussed many times. YTM is yield to maturity, and B0 is the current price of the bond, right? So what are the properties of a duration? For a given maturity, a bond's duration is higher when its interest rate is lower, right? For a given interest rate, a bond's duration increases with maturity. Other things being equal, the duration of a bond varies inversely with the YTM. The duration of a zero coupon bond is same as the maturity, right? So these are the properties of duration. After talking of duration, let me discuss about modified duration. So what is modified duration? It is used to determine the response of bond prices to interest rate changes, right? So as the interest rate changes, right? So what is the sensitivity and to what extent the bond prices changes? This you measure through modified duration. So it is used to determine the response of bond price to interest rate. That if there is a 1% change in the interest, what will be the extent of the change in the bond prices? And there is a time and again we have discussed that there is an inverse relationship between interest rate and the bond prices. So means if the interest rate increases by 1%, so to what extent the bond prices will fall? If interest rate falls by 1%, to what extent the bond price will increase? So this you measure through modified duration. So this measures the sensitivity of the price of the bond with the interest rate. So it expresses the sensitivity of the bond prices to change in the interest rate. So the formula for calculating means how do you calculate bond duration? So D star is equal to modified duration is equal to D, duration of the bond, divided by 1 plus YTM. YTM is nothing but yield to maturity, right? So how this way you calculate modified duration. Modified duration, let me repeat again, determines the response to bond price to interest rate changes. So when I say modified duration, you can see in the formula I've written first minus, because there is an inverse relationship, right? There is a negative relationship. If the bond rate of interest increases, there will be bond prices decreases. So I will say modified duration is equal to minus duration, D for duration, divided by 1 plus YTM. Where star is equal to modified duration, D is equal to duration, YTM I have already told. So the negative sign of the formula is due to the negative relationship between bond prices and yields. Friends, let me explain this with the help of an example. How do we calculate duration and modified duration? A 5-year maturity of rupees 1000 face value at 8% coupon rate, means the coupon rate of the interest is 8%, is currently selling at a YTM of 14%. This bond is being, the current price of the bond gives you the yield to maturity of 14%. Interest is payable annually and bond is redeemable at par. Sometimes the bonds are being redeemed at a different price than the issue price. So I'm presuming here in this example, we are presuming that bond is being redeemed at par. So calculate the market price of the bond, duration of the bond and modified duration of the bond. So friends, let's calculate it. How do we find out? Face value is 1000, coupon rate is 8%, YTM is 14%, right? That is, if you purchase the bond at a current price. What is YTM? YTM tells you yield to maturity. If you purchase the particular bond at the current market price, what will be the yield of the bond if you keep that bond up to the maturity period? That is called YTM. So YTM we don't have to calculate, it is already being given because the current price of the bond is not being given. That's why we cannot calculate YTM. YTM is given here. Yield to maturity is the price at which it is being quoted in the market gives you a YTM of 14%. So life is 5 years, that is the redemption time left for the bond is 5 years. The face value is 1000 rupees. That is the face value is, we are presuming, if nothing is being given, we presume that the bond will be redeemed at a face value. So now let's find out how do you calculate the B0 and different duration and modified duration. So here from 1st to 5 cash flows, because this is a 8% bond. So every year from 1st to 5 years, it will give you interest income of 80 rupees. And at the time of at the end of the 5th year, not only will give you interest of 80 rupees, but it will redeemed at a rupees 1000. So 5 year in the 5th year you can say that in the 5th year the current cash flow will be 1000 plus 80 rupees. You can write separately or you can write at one go 1080, same thing. Now since the YTM is 14%, so you will calculate the present value of these cash flow by discounting it at 14% discounting factor. So present value factor at 14% is equal to 0.877 for first year, 0.769 for second year, and so on so forth, which is being given For 5th year, it is 0.519, right? So then you have calculated in the column number 4, we have calculated present value of cash flows. That is cash flow multiplied by present value factor. So if you multiply these two, you get the present value of cash flows. So you can say 80 multiplied by 0.877, that give you 70 rupees 16 paisa. 80 multiplied by 0.769, that gives you 61 rupees 52 paisa. In this way you can calculate present value of cash flow. So when you add up all these present value of cash flow, you get B0, right? That is the present value of the cash flows. That is 793 rupees 56 paisa. And you multiply this present value with the time. That is 70.16 multiplied by 1, 61.52 multiplied by 2, and so on and so forth. Say 54 multiplied by 3. This gives you present value into time, and you summation of it, this gives you 3,347 rupees 24 paisa, right? So duration of a bond is equal to summation of the I is equal to 1 to n, right? So present value of cash flows into Ti divided by B0, right? So the present value of cash flows multiplied by the time is equal to 3,347.24 divided by the current value B0, that is 793.56. So the duration of the bond is 4.22, right? So the duration is 4 means the duration tells you the effective maturity period. So instead of 5 years the maturity period, the effective maturity period of the bond is 4.22. If you have to calculate modified duration is equal to minus duration divided by 1 plus YTM. So D star is equal to modified duration is equal to duration, that is 4.22, which we have just calculated, divided by 1 plus YTM. YTM is 14%, so 1 plus 0.14, that is gives you, so 4.22 divided by 1.14, that gives you minus 3.70. What it means is that modified duration of minus 3.70 implies that a 1% change in the yield will bring a change of 3.7% in the bond prices in the opposite direction. If the rate of interest increases by 1%, the bond price will decrease by 3.7% and vice versa. So thank you very much for this lecture.